African Safari Wildlife Park is a wild experience with over 800 exotic animals. Our drive-through safari features giraffes, zebras, deer, elk, alpacas, and even white bison, all of which you can feed right from your vehicle. Walk on the wild side with a Zoo It All Pass and feed kangaroos, porcupines, tortoises, and rabbits. Step into our aviary adventure and hand-feed budgies for a memorable experience. Check out our live educational shows or ride a camel. Create memories that will last a lifetime at the Ohio Safari Park, African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton.
Another edition of our morning show and your morning show right here on the new Main Street TV. Of course, Jennifer here to start off. Well, today, the morning news update, because our good friend Pete Wilson is in the house. And Pete is, of course, here, and we're going to do some news, and that's brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy, sell, or have any real estate needs for that matter, she's your local girl. Please give her a call, 740-418-4135, and she'll be out working hard for you. All right, well, Pete, you are in the house. There's tons of news, and we have Jackson's own resident historian Bob Ervin in the house today.
Right, a veritable walking encyclopedia.
I mean, it's like sit down and just learn it all.
Just listen, and you will learn.
Correct. But before we get to Bob, you have lots and lots of stuff to talk about.
Right, on the current side. I'm going to start off with the big movie that's coming to Jackson this weekend.
That's right.
Holler.
Yay!
Of course, Holler was written and directed by 2003 graduate Nicole Riggle.
Yes.
And so that makes it...
There she is.
There she is. There's Nicole. That makes it very interesting, obviously. But the movie, Holler, a lot of it was filmed in Jackson. Mm-hmm. Also some, I think, was filmed in Chillicothe.
Chillicothe, yep.
In Chillicothe. And there are local people that are actually in the movie playing some of the smaller parts, so that makes it interesting. And there's all sorts of scenes that even if you're not interested in the movie and the plot and the message and all like that a lot of people are, you'll say, I know that place.
That's right.
Isn't that so-and-so or whatever?
The roller rinks in it, several different places.
Right. So you're just not used to seeing that on the big screen,
No, how fun.
So, in conjunction with that, and the movie will be at the Tri-City Cinema, our own Tri-City Cinema out on East Main Street. The opening night for Holler, along with some other shows, is this Friday. Mm-hmm. The first showing is at 7:30. I think that there's going to be some good crowds involved.
I'd say you're right.
Because of all these local connections we've talked about. You can certainly walk up and get tickets probably, but you can also get tickets in advance, on the Tri-City website. And you can also go on the app that Tri-City has and get tickets. You can go on another day and get a advance ticket for a future showing.
I would definitely recommend that, as there's a lot of local interest in this movie. It's gotten rave reviews from many of the critics, and I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people wanting to see it. So I would recommend buying those advance tickets.
Right. I believe the show times, there's just one on Friday. That's so-called opening night, 7:30. And then 4:30 and 7:30 on Saturday, and then 1:30 and 4:30 on Sunday afternoon, and so on. I'm not sure how long it's going to be at the Tri-City, but through the week and into next weekend, I'm sure. Not sure how that's going to work or if that's set, but it won't be your only opportunity this weekend. But the sooner you see it, you've done it, and then you can have conversations with people about what you think of the movie.
And the thought is to see it a couple of times, honestly, because you want to watch a movie, obviously, to be entertained for the plot, but we're also very interested in the scenery and stuff like that, so I have a feeling one's going to get fixated on one thing and miss part of the other, so you're probably going to want to see it a couple times.
Right, and the movie is not only set in Jackson and written and directed by a former Jackson resident and a product of Jackson High School, but it's kind of like a message about Jackson as well, and Appalachian towns, and the sociological challenges that face, in this case, a young lady who has some ambition to be something, trying to break the chains of poverty and circumstance to make the most of everything, and the frustration that comes with trying to make that happen.
That's right.
Nicole called it semi-autobiographical in an interview with our Trevor Bailey. Trevor, a new staffer with us, had a 30-minute sit-down interview with Nicole over the telephone, of course.
Yes.
She was in California. He was downstairs. But in addition to that interview, she really went into what her inspiration was for doing the film.
Sure.
And that there is definitely a message there, and it is based to a degree on some of her own experiences as well. So it's definitely worth seeing more than just the local connection. But Nicole also gave us information. This is going to be a separate story. All this will be in our Saturday paper, by the way. Some of this advanced stuff on Holler.
Yep.
There will also be a sidebar story about some of the people from Jackson and Chillicothe who are appearing in the movie.
That's
and
right.
one of them, I'm just going to drop one name, and that is Joe Hemsley, who
Yes.
you know so well. Joe is the current assistant superintendent at Jackson City Schools, well known as the high school principal before that. And he plays a teacher or guidance counselor who talks to the lead character, who is played by Jessica Barden, about her prospects, and that is a key scene in the
Very
movie.
cool.
And Joe plays another person, but he sounds a whole lot like himself and whatever. So anyway, definitely go see Holler, and then also check out our special related coverage that will be in Saturday's paper. A big interview with Nicole herself, and also information about some of the local connections as well.
right.
All right, speaking to COVID-19, that's not a very smooth transition, but that's in my
There's
file.
no way to segue that one.
No, exactly. But the news from the local COVID-19 front is good. The last report that we have from the Jackson County Health Department for the period of May 31st through June the 6th was there was only 7 cases there was only 8 cases in a 7-day period.
Oh.
So obviously a little bit over 1 case per day. In Vinton County, they have been doing regular reports at the health department there. They have only had 1 new case since May the 26th. So
Wow.
that is how good that it is. The Jackson County Health Department, the last time we checked, the number of active cases was down to 6 in Jackson County. That was as of last Monday. There is only 1 related hospitalization. There have been no new related deaths in Jackson County. No hospitalizations current at all in Vinton County, and there have been no new deaths in Vinton County. So the Jackson County Health Department, by the way, in its last report said that it will not be doing weekly reports anymore. I guess that's good news. That means that it's not a big
No news is good news,
right,
right?
a big problem. But you can go to the High Department of Health's dedicated website, coronavirus.gov, and you can get all kinds of statistics, including go to the county level, and you can see some of the same stats that the local health departments put out anyway.
That's right.
All right, one of the stats that we are doing a story on, it'll be in Saturday's paper as well, is about the current situation with vaccines. Of course, right now the supply is exceeding the demand.
It is, and it's becoming problematic.
Right, all over.
Because they can, nationwide, because they're going to expire.
No, they're going to expire. And
The vaccines are going to expire.
right, and the confounding thing is there's still a lot of people who haven't had the vaccine.
Yes.
Right now in Ohio, the current vaccination rate is 46.2%. That have had at least 1 dose. Some of those people are in the process of finishing that process, but that's of course less than half. In Jackson County, that current figure, according to the state website, is 35.3%. So a little bit better than 1 in 3. That sounds a little low, doesn't it?
It does kind of
all
sound
that we've
low.
been through.
Yes.
In Vinton County, lower than that, 30.2%. Phil Buffington dug up this information for it, our associate editor. In the period from June 8th to 9th, was the last day that was chronicled on the website when he checked it, 25 people that day got vaccinations in Jackson County. So that explains why we don't have the clinics going on right now. People are just not coming. They've reached that saturation point that we talked about where people want to get the vaccine. Now there are people out there who still have not had the vaccine, but either they're not going to get the vaccine or they've not still came to that conclusion that they're going to do it. They probably are whatever.
They're waiting to see.
Well, they're
if
seeing.
we all grow horns and stuff.
Well, they're seeing that at the first part, but I think they're seeing the numbers also, and they're thinking, hey, this thing is almost out of here.
So they are.
I don't need to get pricked in the arm.
A lot of people that I've talked to, Pete, and this is kind of why I put it off for a minute too, is time. And it sounds silly, but it's like, when is the right time? Because some people now, nothing happened to you or I. We didn't get sick from the vaccine, really. But, a lot of people have gotten very sick. And it's like, oh, God, I'm going to have to take, a day off work or whatever. And it's never the right time to do it. And so I've heard that a lot.
Right, and it's a lot of people, we talked about all the reasons why people don't get vaccines. But I think, like I said before, one of them is that the numbers are so much better, but there's probably people wondering if it's really necessary now.
Yeah.
With the way it is, and they think, well, if it'll get bad, I can take it then, and so forth. So, but anyway, in Vinton County, in the same day, from June 8th to 9th, only 5 people got the vaccine. So they're not lining up north either to get the vaccine, but I do want to make it clear, if you want the vaccine, it is there. Now, you can make a call, you can show up at the places that do the vaccines. It's not that you can't get one. You don't hear about the clinics. We're not publicizing those because right now they're not happening.
Where's the best place? How's it easy to go get a vaccine if you're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go do it? Okay.
Well, in Jackson County, you can still get a vaccine today at any of these locations. The Jackson County Health Department, Ruth Pharmacy in Wellston, Holzer Family Pharmacy in Jackson, Holzer Medical Center in Jackson, Hometown Pediatric Care in Jackson, of course the Jackson County Health Department, Walgreens Pharmacy. In Vinton County, you can get the vaccines at the Hopewell Health Centers in MacArthur, Shriver's Pharmacy in MacArthur, and also, of course, the Vinton County Health Department.
There you go.
If you are interested in getting either the Moderna or Pfizer options, you can get an appointment at the Jackson County Health Department by calling 286-5094. Now that is the exact opposite situation of when the vaccinations first started. They didn't want you to make calls because the lines were getting full up. They wanted you to go online or go to a clinic or whatever. But now it is all right to call the health department's landline number to make an appointment. So that being said, that is what I would do if I decided today I wanted to get the vaccine. I would call to make an appointment. I'm not sure about the status of being a walk-in, of the walk-in possibilities there. I don't see anything that says that you can walk in. Now maybe they'll take care of you because they want you vaccinated.
But I'd say they'll try.
They do ask that you call ahead for an appointment. And the health department here has also said that they have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine too, and that they are setting to expire. And if you want the Johnson & Johnson, you can do a walk-in. All right? If you're doing the Moderna or Pfizer, where they're not worried about expirations, they would prefer to know that you're coming ahead of time. All right, they had another drawing last night. We're getting closer. And instead of being in Toledo, the winner was in Union County, only about 2 hours away.
They need to get somebody down here in Southern Ohio.
Right. Well, somebody named Mark Klein from Richwood in Union County is pretty happy. He won $1 million. He was the third $1 million winner. We're 3 weeks through the 5-week $1 million lottery.
Folks.
Right, and the young lady who won the scholarship was Sarah Ethanol from Lorain County, and she will get a full ride scholarship at an Ohio public university or college, which is also worth, of course, a lot of money.
Yes.
If you haven't signed up yet through the website to be eligible, there's still time to do that. You can still be eligible for those last two, and if you've already signed up, you don't have to do it again.
Yep.
All right. We'll now turn to a big project in Wellston. This came out, some of the facts came out at the last Wellston council meeting, which was last Thursday. The Lions Club was there, Scott Kaufman was there to talk about the Wellston Lions Club Memorial Park that they want to create at the site of the former Post Office Cafe building. That was a derelict building in Wellston that they tore down several years ago because of safety. One of the walls had fallen down. It was quite the conversation. But now they have a vacant lot there. And the young lady there, if you're watching on television, that you see at the podium is Grace Plummer. She's the president.
I know her.
Right. She's the president of the Wellston High School Art Club. And she's there because at that site they have already painted a new mural.
Oh, cool.
The art club is doing murals. They would like to do more than one, but the first one is essentially complete. The art teacher, Jacob Dawkins, is going to do some finish up work whenever it quits raining one of these days. We're going to go over and do a nice story on it, and we may do a video and all, because it's a big deal through downtown Wellston.
Cool.
But that project is almost done, and that mural is already in this place. It's going to be the Wellston Lions Club Memorial Park. But what Scott Kaufman is talking about, the park would include a bench, a picnic table, a plaque, trees and shrubs, just a nice area there right in the business district where people can sit down and walk and see it. There'll be landscaping and all. The Lions Club is going to take care of the property. City doesn't have to do anything. The city is going to allow the Lions Club to have the memorial park there. No lease will be necessary. The city will continue to own the property. Mayor Charlie Hudson all in favor of this little civic improvement project that the Lions Club is doing.
That's awesome.
So we'll be looking for that to happen in the coming months in Wellston, and we're going to give you a look at that mural here as soon as it quits raining. All right, I promise you. All right, on the business
Whenever that is.
On the business front, we have a couple of things to tell you about. Hothead Burrito is the newest restaurant coming to Jackson.
Yes.
And that is where it's going to go. That is in the McCarty Crossing. If you're familiar with McCarty Crossing, those two units are the ones that are closest to Walmart. If you're driving out that direction there on East Main Street, it's where GNC used to be and Armed and Ready. And they're going to use two units, and they're going to have a fairly large restaurant, it sounds like. They're going to provide over 20 jobs, according to the two managers, and they're going to have dine-in for as many as 100 guests.
Yeah,
now,
that's
if
a
you've
lot.
not heard about Hothead Burrito, and I really hadn't, but it is a chain.
Yep.
They do Mexican food, and it's been compared a lot to Chipotle.
Yeah.
Right. Have you been to Hothead Burrito?
Once.
Once. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think they're
In Columbus
They're
somewhere.
they're in Dayton. There might be one in Portsmouth, maybe.
Yeah, there's one in Portsmouth.
One in Portsmouth, right?
Or if you're from here, it's Portsmouth, but
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth.
Okay, get it right. All right, but
Like Arden.
anyway, Hothead Burrito will likely, they hope to get in there and be operating sometime in August.
Okay.
And so, we'll let you know more about that. But they specialize in Mexican food, burritos, bowls, tacos, nachos, quesadillas, etc. Also, we want to mention Main Street TV. I know that we're going to be talking a whole lot more about that maybe tomorrow because of our contract situation with the city. But in Wednesday's Telegram, we had a pretty detailed story of what happened at the last city council meeting and explained the background of how all this has happened. Because I know you've talked about it a good bit on television, but the decision is going to be made at the next city council meeting, or maybe a city council meeting even after that. We'll just have to see. But Jackson City Council meets again on Monday evening,
That's right.
June the 14th, and they have before them right now the second reading of a resolution that would extend our contract, Main Street TV's contract, Total Media's contract, to continue providing our cable access local origination TV channel.
This
and
right here.
Right. And if this is not approved by council, then come the end of June, I think the date is June the 28th.
6.
June the 26th. That's right. The next council meeting after that is the 28th. So, but anyway, that would be the third reading of the resolution if they don't pass it out on an emergency basis, Jennifer. But as it sits now, a motion was passed at that last council meeting that was on the 24th, the 26th actually. They passed a motion inserting their request for a 3-year period instead of a 5-year period, and a fee of $1,000 per year. And of course, for the length of the contract between our company and our successor company and the city of Jackson, it's been a nominal $1 a year. The thought has always been, the city needs to allow this to happen because it's in their control. The city is not in the TV business; they don't want to do that.
Sure.
And
we've done a good job.
Right. Let us do the work for a nominal fee
For you all out there.
Right, and
for,
so-
for the local citizens. Yes.
Right. And on the city council side, once again, there wasn't a lot of discussion. They just passed that motion, and they weren't allowed to really change the contract because the contract was not a city contract; it was a contract from us.
That we paid for.
Right. And so if the contract's going
attorneys
to
to
get
write up.
changed, there would have to be negotiations, and I don't think there's been any more negotiations.
I haven't heard a word. Have
Right.
you?
I have not heard a word. So we'll have to see what happens. But this is very important. By the end of the month, by June 28th, our Main Street TV and all that we do with this channel could be gone unless there is a reconsideration by Jackson City Council. And that's why we've asked you to get involved. No matter what you think about us, there is something on the line here.
There is, and the way to do this, I was approached by a very lovely lady last night at Walmart, and she just said, "Are you Jennifer?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I can't believe, I watch your show every day. I've watched it for many, many years, and, how could it go away?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Call them and ask, and call your council folks. Show up at the meeting on Monday. Voice your opinion, one way or the other. If you hate our guts, cool too. But make your voice heard. Don't sit there and, complain behind the scenes, because do something about it."
But we have in this country a representative democracy. Everybody doesn't decide. We elect people to make those decisions.
We do.
But by extension, in the democratic process, they are supposed to listen to the public, and that's why
They are
that's why we've
representative, yes.
asked you to get involved if you
Sure.
think that Main Street TV and everything we do here is important. And there is, if we're not here to do it, there is certainly nothing that I know of in the works to replace us.
Nope. So why not keep us?
Yeah, we like doing this.
Yes,
we
it's
like doing
fun.
this, and we like doing this for you.
Yeah, we are your channel,
Right, exactly. All right, the Jackson County Fair Queens contest is this weekend.
Yes.
They're going to do everything in one day. That includes the lower level attendance, starting with 3rd and 4th graders. They go all the way down there now, all the way up to the senior queens. Angie Eisnagel, in a news release, called it the Big Queens, but I'm not going to do that.
No, we
I'm not gonna
decided
call
that
them
was a bad idea,
Right,
didn't we?
we're going to call them the
queens.
the older queens, or whatever. But anyway, I'm going to drop the names of the 7 girls who are trying to be the 2021 Jackson County Fair Queen. They are Emily Ann Ross of Wellston, Mackenzie Gail Lewis of Oak Hill, Jennifer Meldick of Oak Hill, Johanna Hamblin of Wellston, Olivia Sims of Jackson, Natalia Mason of Jackson, and Presley Sexton of Jackson. And we had a spread in our Wednesday paper that had all the pictures of not only the queen candidates, but the attendant candidates as well. How that contest is going to work, Jennifer, everybody is allowed to come. We're past all the COVID restrictions. Last year,
that's good.
Last year they did a closed contest
Yeah.
because of COVID. But this year at the Jackson County Extension Office out there on off Standpipe Road in 93, starting at 3:30 p.m. will be the contest for the 3rd and 4th grade attendance. And then successively, there will be contests for grades 6, 7, and 8, grades 9 and 10, and then the senior girls. And they figure the senior girls should start at 6:30 p.m. I'm not sure whether that's time approximate or that's when they're going to start it, even if they wrap up the other smaller, younger girls earlier. They are asking for a $5 donation at the door. They will be naming winners that night. We will know who the attendants are. We will know who the queen is. We'll know who the queen's attendants are. They will be crowned, though, that Sunday night of the fair when everything opens up. I believe that is on July the 14th at the Jackson County Fairgrounds. All right. Well, we want to tell you about a big event that is coming up this weekend at the Manpower Park. It's going to be on Sunday.
Yep.
And a lot of folks know a man by the name of Jim Malone,
Yep.
who lives in our local area. There is Jim right there. Well,
Sweetie
Jim
pie.
is fighting the fight of his life
Yeah,
against
he
cancer
is.
right now. He's been very ill. He still gets out, sees people, likes to go to the truck stop on the weekend for dinner. I see he and his wife Sherry all the time, and they have a lot of friends. And because of all the expenses, that they have, related expenses they have fighting this fight, and Sherry's no longer working in support of her husband, they're going to be a big benefit event at Manpower. It will be a Jeep ride, a motorcycle ride, a Chinese auction, a 50-50 drawing. There'll be games for kids. They'll have food for sale. The way that they hope to make the most money is on these two rides where there's a participation fee. Bike riders should meet at the Park's Edge side of the park. Jeeps should meet at the Walgreens side of the park at 10 o'clock. Registration will begin at that point. Both groups will depart at noon. The cost is only $15 for bikes, an extra $5 for passengers, $30 for Jeeps. That covers 2 persons, and $5 for any extra passengers in the Jeeps. Activities at the park are expected, because we mentioned the other activities, they will probably go until about 6 o'clock. So this is a great way to help a local resident in need, Jim Malone.
Yeah, sweetie pie.
I got to know Jim well, covering the news and the sports. His son played for the Ironmen, and Jim, this is just the way he is. He's kind of a quiet guy. He was a member of the Sideliners, maybe he still is, but you couldn't find a better volunteer than him to do the behind-the-scenes grunt work to raise funds for the football program through the Sideliners. For a while, the Sideliners did bingo. Jim would never miss, and I think he kept doing it even after his son graduated.
Yeah, and sometime, Pete, this is kind of not just in relation with Jim, but it would be interesting to have some families come in and talk about the cancer battle. And what I mean by that is the things that people don't see, losing your job because you have to transport your spouse back and forth, the money that it takes to drive for treatments, all of these things that people don't know about unless you're in the middle of the fight. I think it would be worth making the public more aware of the struggles that there are, not just fighting for your life, but living.
That's
in the
right.
meantime.
No, that's right. Life does not stop, and all your obligations does not stop.
Your bills don't stop. It's a nightmare.
Right, and in Sherry's case, I mean, she left her job at Kroger to support her husband, be with her husband, and like that. And that was, of course, a major sacrifice, because Jim, of course, himself cannot work right now.
100%. So,
So, that's why they have these benefits, and everybody can help by just attending, participating, donating. A little bit by a lot of people goes a long way.
It does.
All right, at this weekend at the Jackson County Speedway, there's going to be a big event. It's going to be Friday evening. Jackson County Speedway is located, Jennifer, if you haven't been there, out on Roberts Road off US 35. You take a left. If you're heading out of Jackson, go out Roberts Road about 2 miles, and there is a pretty good-sized racetrack out there. But at the Jackson County Speedway, they have new ownership this year. They're getting more involved in the community, and they are going to have what they're calling a First Responders Appreciation Night.
That's
on
a good
Friday.
idea.
Right. It's going to be Friday evening, and all first responders for all these emergency departments in Jackson County are being invited to be the guests of the Speedway. They can get in free and see all the racing. But then
Wow.
beyond that, though, during a break in the racing, at some point, they're going to be brought down on the track and introduced one by one. Each of them will be introduced, each of the first responders that are there, whether they're law enforcement, firefighter, EMS, or whatever. And this is a way not only to appreciate what they do for everybody, but also because of the nature and the danger, the inherent danger of having a speedway, they always have emergency personnel on hand in
that
case
makes
something would
sense.
happen. And so
they're appreciated.
So they directly appreciate
Yes.
what the first responders do for them. Okay, on the arts side, there is a new exhibit now going on at the Marquet Gallery. It is Jules Stewart's
Yay.
Distractions, an Immersive Love Story. And there is the marquee at the Marquee just down the street from us that advertises the fact, proclaims the fact that Jules Stewart exhibit is going on right now. It will go on through the month of June, and it's very much worth seeing. It will be there until June the 25th. It actually opened a week ago last evening. They had a big opening night reception. Jules, of course, is involved in a hair salon right here between the Marquee and where our office is.
Yes.
And she has
awesome.
a very loyal clientele there. But what some folks may not know about her, she's also an artist, and you can see all her work currently at the Marquee. The Marquee is open from 12 to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and admission is free. Also, the Southern Hills Arts Council, the folks who run the Marquee Cultural Arts Center, they want you to know that the Picture Perfect Amateur Photography Contest is going on, and it's going on right now.
Ooh.
What that means is, this is sponsored by the Vinton County National Bank and its financial family. It is open to Jackson and Vinton County residents. You can't be a professional photographer, but all the amateurs in 2 divisions, youth ages 10 to 17 and adults ages 18 and up. There are cash prizes in both divisions. First place winners will receive $100. The deadline to submit photographs is Friday, June the 25th. Photos will be available for viewing on Monday, July 5th. The photography, all those pictures that get submitted, will be on display after Jules Stewart's exhibit ends. So it will dovetail from Jules Stewart right into the Picture Perfect exhibit. The photographers must be an amateur. They cannot have received any money for their photographic services during the year. If they have, that designates them as a professional.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, in Oak Hill, the Welsh American Heritage Museum is now open for summer hours. There it is. That, of course, used to be the Oak Hill Congregational Welsh Church. It is an old Welsh church, actually. So we're better to have a Welsh Heritage Museum.
Makes
but that
sense.
is on East Main Street. You can see the high historical marker in front. This is no longer an active church, but it has been a museum now for some time. It has all sorts of Welsh-related artifacts. It celebrates the Welsh history and culture in both Jackson and Gallia counties, and it's right there in Oak Hill. The hours for the Welsh American Heritage Museum this summer is on Fridays and Saturdays. Those are the 2 days that you can go, other times by appointment, but it's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and that is in effect right now. You can go this Friday and Saturday if you want. If you want to phone ahead for an appointment and go another time, that can probably be arranged. You just need to call the Mad Dog Center for Welsh Studies at the University of Rio Grande. That is the group at Rio Grande, the wing of the University of Rio Grande that coordinates all the Welsh-related activities, and they oversee the Welsh Museum now.
Very
So,
cool.
all right. So my last item was about Welsh history. We'll go to some more history now from Mr. History himself.
Mr. History himself. Thanks, Pete. Of course, Pete's Morning News Update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy or sell, please give Nia a call, 740-418-4135, and she'll be out working hard for you. All right, let's head on over to your Total Media Radio weather forecast, where you can, don't forget, listen to live local radio on your phone by downloading the Total Media Radio app at the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store if you have an Android phone. And also, don't forget, you can also listen to your Total Media Radio on your Alexa device. And you can say things like, open Alexa, open Mix 96 FM. People don't like me right now because their Alexa probably just did that. Or Alexa, open 97.7 The Bull. Just a couple of examples for you. All right, your weather forecast. This rain continues on through the weekend. Or at least tomorrow. Mostly cloudy with showers likely today, highs around 84 degrees. For tonight, partly cloudy with showers likely. Lows around 67. And for Friday, mostly cloudy with showers likely, a little cooler with highs around 82. Now, looking on though to Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for the beginning of your work week, looks like that sunshine pops back up and some warmer temperatures. And but we'll see, because last week it looked exactly the same and then it changed its mind. So, all right, we're so fortunate to have Jackson's own Bob Ervin here on the show this morning. Welcome.
Well, glad to be here, Jennifer. Thank you very much.
We're so happy to have you here, and congratulations
Well,
are in
thank you.
order.
Thank you.
Yes, and you
Thank
got
you.
to see Bob on a video yesterday, and that was at the dedication, there you are, of the new record storage facility here in Jackson, and I think that is just so neat. And they actually, if you didn't catch our video yesterday, dedicated and named the building after you and a couple of other Bobs.
Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
Three Bobs building.
Yeah. Yeah, Roberts, it's a Jackson County, Ohio, Roberts Records Building. And,
Say that 5 times fast.
Roberts, Roberts apostrophe.
Yes.
Got the plural possessive there.
Plural Roberts. The Three Bobs.
Yeah, Three Bobs.
So it is you,
Bob,
Jackson's, of
yeah,
course, own
yes.
Bobby Walton, right?
Yeah, Bob Walton and Bob Hughes.
Yeah.
And myself, the three Roberts.
The Three Bobs.
Three Bobs, yeah.
The Bobs building.
Yeah.
There's all kind of fun names. We can
Yes.
go on for days.
Yes. Yes, that's
But,
right.
but no, that's so cool. And you came in today and you were going to, you have some really neat information about that area of
Yes.
Jackson
Yes,
that I didn't know.
Yes.
How did I not know this?
Well, that's just something that I know. I didn't know this when I was in school. It's just something that teachers are busy with what they have to cover, and it's just
Sure.
difficult to get everything in. I know
Yeah.
when I was teaching, it was difficult to cover everything I needed to cover. I remember.
Yes.
But that was the original Jackson County Fairgrounds.
I had
there.
no idea.
Yes, yes.
A few years ago.
There was oh yes. The first fair was 1847, it seems.
Isn't that
Year
crazy?
1847. And the county was laid out in 1816, and the county seat of Jackson here, that was in 1817. And but they had the first fair, and then it's not clear about how beyond that up to 1855, and 1855 they had another fair. It was a 2-day fair, and then it's not too clear from there. But you get up to about 1877, and they had a real successful fair there, and then 78, the expenses were more than the receipts.
Understood.
They had $60 in receipts, it said, but
The Fair Board would be happy to have that today, right?
Yeah. But anyway, they had 2 more fairs in 79 and 80, and then it was discontinued. And then the fair was then moved to Wellston. The first fair was in 1913.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
And of course, back to this, we also had the Stedford building here at the old fair site down at the end of Broadway here, and it was built. And of course, Stedford was the Welch. There were singing groups that would compete, and there were also literary contests. That would be essays and poetry.
Yes.
Contests. But
Now, was the Estedford building, is that the current building that's sitting there, the Job and Family Services, or is that a completely different building?
No, that's a completely different building. The Estedford building, it was about midway down. Well, it was about directly behind the community service building there, about midway down there in the parking area.
Okay.
And it faced to the west. There's an alley on the west side of the community service building, and it faced in that direction. And it was 120 feet long and 100 feet wide. It was constructed in, they began the construction in June of 1928, and they had it completed by the last week of September of that year for the Estedford. And
I think a lot of people don't understand how important the Estedford is to our area and how it, the history of that, which we could do a whole other, show on that.
There's a whole show could be done.
Yes.
It had a seating capacity about 3,500.
That big?
And,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see there.
And there was a stage on the east end, and big stage. So that was the Estedford. It lasted up until about the time World War II began, and then with the war, everything came to a halt with all the rationing and controls that were on during the war years. But that's, and then of course during the Civil War we had Morgan's Raiders that came to Jackson.
Yes.
About that, and they came in from the Beaver area, and the entrance into Jackson was down at the end of West Main Street, and the defenders of Jackson, they were lined up in front of the Isham House, which is where the Cameron Apartments is over here. Isham House was the hotel of the day, one of them, and they were trying to determine whether or how they're going to prevent them from getting into Jackson, maybe fall some trees out on the Beaver Road. And while they were considering that, here the advance guard came up Main Street Hill in front of the Gibson House that was there where the Veterans Park is now.
Yes.
And of course everybody started scattering, and the Raiders came down. They rounded all the men up, marched them down Broadway to the fairgrounds and held them prisoner there overnight. And then the next morning, of course, Morgan had come in during the night. He came in about 10 o'clock. The advance guard that rounded up the prisoners came about 9:30. Morgan stayed at the Isham House. The next morning, the prisoners were marched up to Main Street here and lined up, and Morgan came out, looked them all over, and made them take an oath they wouldn't take up arms against the Confederacy, and released him because he was getting ready to leave town.
Yeah.
That was
Quite a character this Morgan was.
Yes, John Hunt Morgan.
That's a whole other thing too.
Yes, that is another story.
Bob, can you tell the story? I don't know if this is true. Yeah. I don't know who told me this, but the story about Morgan Raiders in the newspaper office in Jackson County.
Yeah, that is true. That's for sure true.
Oh, that was across the street.
Yes, where Dr. Green's office is.
Dr. Green's office up on the third floor. That was the Jackson Standard office, and and of course that was the Jackson Standard was a Republican paper, and of course the South was the other side, the Democrat side, and so the Raiders went up. They poured the started pouring the type, the boxes of type.
Yeah.
Pouring
Just
them
threw it out the
threw it
window.
out the windows. So that startled the horses. And so they just poured it out on the floor, and the printer's ink, it was a thick substance, and
Just
they
dumped
poured
her all
that-
out on
dumped
Main
that
Street.
Yeah. So, but anyway, and then General Hobson of the Federal Forces, they were about a day's behind, and when they came in, they went up to the Iron Valley Express, which was up across from where the Gibson was, where the Sportabout is there. And they went up and they retaliated by destroying that paper. So those are two stories there.
It's so
Yeah,
interesting.
yes.
They were just more, it was like, I mean, they did some bad things, but they were really just ornery.
Well, there was never, there's no account of abusing women or anything
Right,
like that.
and that's what, they
They
just,
would,
they were just rotten.
Yeah, they were mostly young men, and they had come from stable families,
Uh-huh.
and they believed in a cause, and but they would ride up to a house and ask the housewife for food,
Yeah.
and they would wait outside while
Yeah.
she prepared the food. They didn't.
They weren't evil.
They didn't enter. They were. They didn't enter the house or abuse anybody that way. It's. They were. They believed in their cause, and they were trying to support it. Yeah. Now, another. When the fair moved to Wellston, one of the leaders was Charles Hazlitt.
Okay.
You can see Charles Hazlitt here. He was born in 1862, and he later built the large house up there at the entrance to the fairgrounds.
That's being
at Wellston.
redone
They're being
now.
redone
That's
by
so
contractor
exciting.
Don Morgan.
Yes, I love to hear that.
Yes, yeah. He was. He proved what free enterprise is. He earned his. He started working at 25 cents an hour, and he saved $26, and he purchased 6 cabs. 6 cabs.
Okay.
And that was the way he started, and by 1918, he owned over 800 acres of land,
Wow.
and of course he constructed that large house up there.
I would
in the
call it a
barn.
mansion, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
it's like a mansion. Yes, it is. And the barn, and there's a tunnel going from the house to the barn. And
Really cool.
Yeah, I got to see that last fall. I was up while they were starting to remodel everything. Mr. Morgan was, and that was very interesting. He was a county commissioner. He was mayor of Wellston one time. He started in Colton. He was member of council up at Colton. But this idea of progressing from 25 cents an hour, or a day rather, 25 cents a day, to
building a
having
mansion.
having that, and he had a large dairy herd. He had a dairy there, see, and his son-in-law was killed by lightning. He'd gone out and a storm was
No
brewing.
way.
Yes, and his name is Earl Chrisman, and he was from Colton area, and he was struck by lightning and killed there on the site. That's. But he was Hazlitt was interested in. He was president of the Jackson County Agricultural Society that sponsored the fairs, and
Oh.
so that's. But he was one of the leaders in it.
Is he the reason that the
yeah,
fairgrounds
yeah.
is there,
Well,
or was it there before he got there?
The main reason there was a debate about that. A number of people wanted to remain in Jackson here at the county seat.
Yeah.
But what caused them to arrive at a decision to have it in Wellston was the racetrack. The racetrack was already there.
Oh, it
At
was.
that site, yes.
So they built around the track.
And that
Wow.
was the inspiration, it seems, for the fair being there. Another leader was A.J. Cochran. I believe his name is Andrew Jackson Cochran, and I remember his daughter was Amy Gettles. She was the wife of Frank Gettles, but they resided in Jackson. Amy was a teacher. She did some substituting when I was in high school, I remember, and she enjoyed history, and she wrote some history, and she was. I remember she did I've read about it. At the Christian church down Broadway here, she wrote a pageant story, a history, the anniversary of the church.
Oh.
And she had various church members playing different characters. So that was, but anyway, her father, he was a leader in the, during World War I, he was the food administrator. You know, there was just like World War II, you know, the food all had to be regulated, the amount of it. Do you have any questions that you want to you thought about?
I have a million questions.
Yes, go right
but,
ahead. But I mentioned to you Poplar Row.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because we have a nursery here in Jackson that sells flowers and things that's called Poplar Row Nursery.
Oh, it does? Oh, I didn't know that.
And I didn't even know why it was named that. I just thought it was a cool name.
I recall Ed,
but let's talk about that for a moment.
Ed Clark mentioning in his columns, you know, when he was in the newspaper, talking about what's happening on Poplar Row.
So you were saying that the city of Jackson actually kind of started around Water Street and then moved that away.
Yeah, and Jackson is, it's laid out sort of in a northwest by southeast, you know.
Not north and not this way,
It goes by Salt Lake Creek.
Yes, it goes by the creek.
Goes, So
and the creek didn't go straight, let's just say that.
Yes, that's right. And we say west of Jackson, when we go out 35 toward Chillicothe, we're going northwest, actually.
Yes.
You can see that on the, your automobile now, the modern cars.
That's right.
Yeah, you can see the direction you're going. So, but Poplar Row, the way they got the name was there were poplar trees along Water Street, and of course the logs from the poplar trees were used to build the cabins. Yeah, so we had row of cabins and
were the cabins along Water Street then?
Along in that area. See, that's where everything started, and going all the way out to Boone Rock, which is out by the disposal plant. You know, you go down.
Keep going down Main.
You go down Main to High Street, make a right, cross the bridge over Salt Lake Creek and Wood Avenue, and you make a left and go out by the disposal plant and back to the it's east of the disposal plant. The Rock is, but you walk back to the Rock. It's about.
Can you actually go back there? Are we allowed to?
You can go back there during the day. There's a gate at the entrance there. they're before you get to the plant. They put the gate up after 4 o'clock. But
Does that mean
but
Daniel Boone was there?
the Boone. Daniel Boone was, he was captured down at Blue Licks, which is south of Cincinnati, by the Shawnee, and they brought him here on the way to Chillicothe. Brought him here to, and they stopped off here at Jackson to make salt. And that's another story. The salt industry and the early maps of the area talk about the salt springs.
Yep.
Salt springs, and so they would, and the story is that they camped up on top of the rock, and he, the legend is that he escaped while he was here, but the bio says that it was after they got to Chillicothe.
Oh.
But the legend was that he saw his chance and he jumped off the top of the rock into a large elm tree and down and taken off to Boonesboro, his village down in Kentucky.
Oh.
And the Indians, they weren't as brave to go off into the tree. They had to go around, and so he had a head start on them. But
Gotcha. That may be a little stretch of the truth.
Yeah, the idea, yes.
He definitely was here.
He was here,
We'll go
and
with
so
that.
we have the Boone Rock there.
Okay.
See, so, and
Is it marked when you go down there, or is it just you
no,
just need to know?
it isn't now, but
Okay.
hopefully that'll be done sometime.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be and there's another site north of that called it was known as the Old Fort. That was a prehistoric mound builders who built the mounds. Like, for example, we have a mound over in the Jamestown Cemetery on East Broadway. You can see the mound there, and there's across the street there. There's about where the Cavalier Rink, the roller rink. There's another mound in that area, and part of that can be seen over there. There's a lot there, and part of that mound is still there.
Now, what
And,
was
yeah,
the purpose of
yeah.
those?
Well, these were probably burial, and the one out here is a rectangle shaped earthwork. It's like up at Mound City in Chillicothe.
Yeah.
They and this one they call it a fort, but it was more a ceremonial where they, they would the certain ray of the sun at a certain time of the day, different days,
Yes.
like you tell time.
Right.
Like you have a stake in the ground and what's it, the shadow?
Yeah, where the shadow
Yeah,
goes.
yes.
Yes.
So it appears like these people had, they used it that way. They had their, maybe a religious ceremony or something like that.
So cool.
That appears like that. So we have a lot of history here.
We do.
And I didn't know a lot of this when I never heard about it when I was in school. But and when I was teaching, I didn't know about it at the time. Really, I had so much material to cover the way it was.
Right.
But anyway, it was. But when I started researching, actually, I started researching John Hunt Morgan.
Yeah.
Dr. Greg Morgan, Greg Miller from Jackson. He was a professor down at Rio Grande, and he was at the Mississippi University for Women in Columbus, Mississippi, and this was right after he got his PhD from Ohio University in comparative arts, and he called me and asked me if I could research John Hunt Morgan for him. He had an idea for an outdoor drama, you know.
Oh,
he
yeah.
never
That
did-
definitely, yeah.
And so
Would make sense.
so I began researching that, and that's how I discovered all this early history, you know.
That's amazing.
That like the salt boiling and
Yeah.
and the salt springs and salt wells. So that's another story.
That is a whole other story. That is.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
yes.
Bob, we're about out of time here.
Yes.
But you have written these books.
Yes.
And where can folks? How many editions
Well,
do you have now? And where can people find these books, or are they
They're-
still available?
There are two of them out of print.
There it is.
There's the first book, Jackson County's History and Its People. It's green in color. It was originally published in 1995, and I revised it in 2014, and so it's that book is still available. The second book was Jackson County, Its History and Its People since 1865. It's red in color, and it's still available.
Okay.
And this book here, the blue book, it's Jackson County's History and Its People, 1900 to 1950. It is out of print.
Okay.
And then we had Jackson County's History and Its People, 1950 to 2000, and it's out of print. And the most recent one, Jackson County, Its History and Its People, 2000 to 217 and more. And more means there are other pieces, stories in the book that other people have written besides the ones that I have.
Cool.
And so actually there are 7 volumes if you count the revised revision of the first volume, and I have another one in the computer that I'm working on. So
He's always doing something. He
Yes.
doesn't sit still. That's
Yes,
for
yes.
sure.
Yeah, I keep busy. I've had to be on the alert since I graduated from high school. I went to Ohio State. It was a different world I discovered up there because
Oh,
I'd
for
grown up
sure.
on the farm in the country, and then going up to Ohio State, it was so it was a different world. And then I started teaching early. My father was ill, and I started teaching and finished my college work as I was teaching. So
That's
I
pretty
didn't
cool.
I didn't know any debt. And I remember when the first tuition I paid at Ohio State, $67 a quarter.
Oh man.
Imagine that, $67 a quarter. But you could still buy things for a nickel and dime then too. There wasn't as much money then. And I can recall we'd come to town from the farm, and my mother gave me 2 dimes. I could go to the Sugar Bowl down the street here, this side of where the Farm Bureau office is, and I could get a 12-ounce Pepsi for a nickel, and then I'd get 2 dips of ice cream cone for a dime.
Oh,
Then I had a nickel left.
very good.
Or a pack of gum, or a candy bar. I was satisfied.
There you go. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, yes.
Well, Bob, when we have some
Yes.
more time, will you come back and see us?
Well, anytime. Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
It's been a pleasure talking with
I
you today.
enjoy being with you,
course.
Jennifer. Thank you.
Anytime.
Okay.
All right, our good friend Bob Ervin and resident historian of our area, wealth of knowledge, and we thank him so much for being here with us today. Before we get out of here for the day, did want to thank Mark Carmen and the gang at Carmen's Used Cars. Also, the filling station, the store at Broadway and Penn and Wellston Quick Stop, the whole Zaffel family. Thank you to them. Chip and Kathy Smalley at the shop. If you need any custom engraving, jewelry repair, watch repair, give them a shout out. And also, of course, your everything store, our friends at Callahan Hardware, and they have, well, everything. So, all right, have a great day, everyone. We'll be right back here with you tomorrow on Friday. We do have some friends from Holzer who will be here, and we look forward to that. So until then, enjoy your day, and we'll see you right back here then. Bye-bye, everyone.